Hello, hello, hello. We are live, and we get to be on live on several different platforms. We are live right here. We are live on, let me see, we're live on YouTube. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on Twitter. And this is good stuff. So, we are going to be talking about a lot of stuff. Let's just make sure, hey, do you see me and do you hear me? Because I think that is an important piece of the puzzle. And we can chat. Bear with me a little bit, please, because I am learning a new system. We're using a new system here. And I sometimes feel all alone in this system. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Hey, I see people who are responding and hearing me. That is fabulous news. So good to go. We're just going to wait just a few seconds here to let other people get on. And I would love to know in the chat if you can share with me, tell me why you're here. What do you want to learn? Why are you interested in this? Because we're going to learn a couple of things in this virtual lunch and learn we're having. We're going to learn about the Set Me Free Project, who we are and what we do, but we're also going to learn a little bit about human trafficking and what's going on with that and all of that good stuff. So pop in the chat what you want to learn. What do you want to hear about? All right. Let's see. I'm doing some stuff if you can't tell. So bear with me as I'm doing this. And while you're putting in the chat what you want to learn, as I have to compress my PowerPoint here. Why do they make it difficult? Why do we have to have difficulties with technology? That's my question for the day. If anybody has an answer for me, I would appreciate that. I'm going to assume nobody does because absolutely everybody has problems with technology. That's just the way it goes. Okay. We're just going to cut out some photos or some videos because that's what it's saying is the problem. All right. Checking in. Hey, Steve, good to see you. How are we collaborating with other agencies, law enforcement, and shareholders? That's a great question. I love it. Brandy, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. We're doing some cool stuff with Lexington as well. So Brandy and I met in Lexington at a presentation, and there's going to be some cool stuff happening. So yes. Awesome. And how can we share the message with our business members? That is a great question. I love it. Okay. Well, we are going to get started here, and we're going to start a little bit with just who we are and what we do. And I really want this. Now, we are going to have time for some questions in the end. But if you have a burning question that you want to ask me, I would love to answer that as much as possible, as much as I can. So please, let me know what your burning questions are. Okay. Love it. Well, we're going to start here. Now, I am really hoping my PowerPoint works, and I did practice this before, but it's telling me my file is too big, so we will get this. I promise, because it's so much cooler with a PowerPoint, although I appreciate you just hanging out with me here as well. So, I am Stephanie Olson. And I am blessed enough to be the CEO and founder of the Set Me Free Project. And we've been around for about 10 years and doing some amazing things. We started out small and we have expanded um, nationwide. And so it's really exciting that we have the opportunity to do what it is we're doing. And I just love that. Now, our goal is to stop human trafficking before it starts. That is our mission. We would love to see human trafficking stopped first. Now, we'll talk about this. We know about 1 to 2% of trafficked individuals are recovered. 1 to 2%. That's a strikingly low number. And so, if we can actually stop human trafficking before it starts, that would be incredible. That's what we want to do. And so, that's our goal. We want to stop it before it starts, and we do that in a number of different ways. But I want to start here because I think this is really important that you understand a little bit about who we are and why we do what we do. Now, we have several values, and those values are key to everything that we do and everything that we present. So, I want to start by talking a little bit about the values of the Set Me Free Project. Now, that value number one is important is personal value. I lost the word personal. Bear with me. Lost the word personal, but personal value. When we talk about value, that everybody has an intrinsic value that cannot change. Now, some of you have seen this before, but I am going to start here by showing you this. And if I were to ask you who wants this $20 bill, I'm guessing most of you would raise your hand. And if I were to crumple it in a tiny little square, I'm guessing most of you'd still want it. This will buy you half a Starbucks. This is good stuff. If I were to crumple it into a tiny little ball, if I were to spin on it, you still want it, right? Because the value has not changed. Now, that's what we are all about. Every single one of us has an intrinsic value that cannot be changed. Every single one of us is important with human dignity, worth, and that is the key to everything we do and everything that we are. And so that is what I want to talk about here with you today. So that is our personal value. That is one of the key things. Let's see if this works here. I think I got something to work. Okay, we're going to give this a shot. Won't be fun and animated, but it'll be cool. The other value that we have is that we believe that everyone should have compassionate prevention. Prevention is so important. And we think about, we're such a reactive society sometimes. We have a tendency to really do this piece where we are reacting a little bit. Here we go. Where we are reacting to things after the fact. You think about healthcare. You think about something like cancer. If we can actually prevent that first instead of allowing it to grow into something else, that's what we're all about. And that's how we feel about human trafficking. And so compassionate prevention is critical. Integrity is everything that we do. We always say we only have our reputation. So we want to do what we do with integrity. We want to do what we do with compassion. And we want to do what we do to stop that trafficking people who do harm before it starts. And we want to strive for excellence. Most of you know what we are doing today, but some of you might not even know the pivot that we took after COVID. And so we'll talk about that. But with our curriculum, with our trainings, we want it to be excellent and we want creative solutions. This is an ever changing industry. And so we feel like we need to be an ever changing industry. And so creative solutions to keep that moving forward. And then, bottom line, we want to have fun in everything we do. That may seem counterintuitive when we're talking about human trafficking, but the reality is that fun piece is so important. And when we're talking about education, we know that people actually retain more when there's humor, when there's laughter, when there's fun. So that's what we are all about. Now, that value piece that we talked about, that is so critical because when you truly understand who you are, it changes how you view the world. But more importantly, when you understand that everybody around you has value, worth, human dignity, you have to treat them a certain way. Can't buy them, you can't sell them, and you can't even bully them. And so we want to recognize that with all of the people that we are serving, that we are working with. Okay. So, what is human trafficking? Here's where we're going to do a little one-on-one, 101, and talk to you about this. But no, this is a really brief conversation about what human trafficking is. When we train on human trafficking, and we can train on a number of different industries, so we train any adults who are serving youth. One of our collaborative partners out of South Dakota is with us. We've trained their agency to give and present this curriculum to youth. We train anybody who is an adult serving in any capacity. So that could look like educators. I mean, could be law enforcement in other areas. Could be, I'm blanking on think banking, construction workers, salons, all of those things. So that is a part of what we do. But this is going to be a nutshell for you. So what is human trafficking? Human Are we live again? Did I lose you? Okay. Back. I don't know what's going on. I never have problems. Am I still frozen? How am I doing? Can you see me? I want to do a little dance just in case I'm frozen. Let me know if you can see me. No, you cannot see me. Did I get all right? Hold on. Saying I'm live. Yes, I'm back. Oh, I don't like being in technology limbo. That's a horrible place to be. Just want to tell you that was scary. So, thank you for having me back. Whew, thank you. All right. So let's try this again. I'm going to go with as simple as possible. So I don't know what's going on. Um, Somebody doesn't want us to learn this stuff, is what I'm going to say. Okay. So, human trafficking, force, fraud, and coercion. Now, with minors, force, fraud, or coercion does not ever need to be proven. And that's really important because we understand that although traffickers use force, fraud, or coercion to lure individuals that they traffic, we don't need to prove that. Any commercial sex is considered human sex trafficking for minors. Now, force, fraud, and coercion, they're key when we think about human trafficking. A lot of times we think about that force thing. How many times have you heard someone say, "Oh my gosh, whatever you do not go to Walmart by yourself and park next to a white van because that door is going to open and you're going to hop in there." We hear that a lot. We see on social media memes all the time. Somebody was walking through Target and I got followed. And I know this is true because this is a friend of mine. That's what I hear often. Now, here's the reality. Can that happen? Absolutely. But is that what traffickers are typically doing? Not very often. So that force piece, although can happen, is not what we typically see. Instead, we see that fraud and coercion piece. So fraud could look like a number of different things: fake relationships, fake job offers. That's deception. Coercion, blackmail, manipulation. Now, if I were somebody that came upon you, we were in the same room, we were in the same place, I kidnapped you, threw you into my white van, which is really a black Honda, would you be a good product for me? No, you wouldn't be because you would be afraid, you'd be drugged, whatever. You would not be a good product. But let's say instead I become the mom you've never had. Now we have a relationship. Maybe a year goes by and we're building trust. I tell you I love you. I tell you the things that you need to hear. And then one day I say, "Hey, we're in trouble. We need help and we need you to do this one time, 5 times max." Those are the things that change in a relationship with the trafficker. And all of a sudden, not only are you doing this for me, but you think you've chosen it. And so that coercion piece, that fraud piece is so important in a trafficking situation. Force, can it happen? Yes, it can. But just like somebody reminded me yesterday, can you get struck by lightning? Yeah, you can. Is it likely? Probably not. And that's how we see human trafficking, that the majority of people that want to do harm by building relationships. And where do they do that most often? Well, we see social media as a huge piece of the puzzle. We know that so many traffickers, which used to be legwork, used to have to walk around, build relationships in person, can now do that very thing on social media. And so it makes it that much easier. But we also know one of the top places traffickers are finding and luring the individuals that they traffic are in schools. We know that our youth are at risk. And I always say here, are we looking for the wrong things? Because if we're looking for the white van driving by, if we're looking for somebody to kidnap our kids and I just have to watch them at the mall, we're going to miss what's really happening. We're going to miss that relationship building piece. And that is the key in this puzzle. Those relationships are really important. So when we talk about looking for the wrong thing, well, that can be a number of different things that we might be having a conversation about. That might be the mindset that only girls are trafficked, when we know that males are trafficked almost up to 50%, depending on your community. Um, we might be thinking that if there's a rescue, I use that term loosely, that's not a word we use. If there is a rescue and somebody kicks in the door and pulls out those children or those people, they are going to be so grateful and they are going to thank the people who rescued them, and now they're away from the big bad trafficker. That's not reality. The majority of people who are trafficked know their trafficker before they're ever trafficked, and don't identify as someone who is being trafficked. Don't identify as someone who is being victimized per se. And so if that's the case and you're pulling somebody out of their situation, they're probably not going to be desperate to get away and probably not going to be readily apt to say, "Thank you for saving my life." Their trafficker is someone they know, someone they love, and someone they trust. And there was a survivor who said, if you want to help an individual who's being trafficked, you better be prepared to provide them everything that their is providing them and more. So we can't be vigilantes in this. We also know um, that there are certain things that might look a certain way, but might not be that way. We're actually having an event for those of you who are in the Nebraska area. You know that College World Series is here. And yes, we know trafficking increases about 42%. But it might not be exactly what you think it looks like. And it might not be the concern of your kiddos going to College World Series and being kidnapped or lured away. So we're having an event in June about the realities of the College World Series, the realities of human trafficking, and all of those things. So be on the lookout for that. And that can be related to any event type thing. So if we're looking for the wrong things, if we're looking for the white van driving by, if we're looking for the person kidnapping us, we are going to miss, or we might miss, what is really happening out there. And that might look like, how do we help our youth safely navigate social media? How do we help us as adults safely navigate social media? How do we strengthen our schools to recognize and respond to human trafficking situations because they're there? How do we strengthen our communities to recognize and respond to human trafficking? I've always said that traffickers build incredible relationships. We need to build better ones. Traffickers have amazing networks. We need to have stronger ones. And prevention is community wide. And so it is important that we as a community know what's going on and know how to respond to that. We have a campaign called Trafficking Stops With Me, and that is exactly what it's about. That if your business knows what human trafficking is, if your school recognizes it, if your youth understand what it looked like and how to safely navigate social media, traffickers will not have a chance in our community, regardless of where our community is. And that is exactly what we want. So, all right. So, what does a trafficker look like? Now, we're not going to go into grave detail on this. But this is something in our presentations, actually, when we do our trainings, we play a lot of games, even with adults. And so, one of the games that we play is what does a trafficker look like? Because we've got these ideas in our minds that, well, these stereotypes. And so, if I were to say to you, a word and I were to say, I want you to think about this and what is the characteristics that pops into your head right now. So let's say, and feel free to chat this. I would love to play this game for just a moment. But let's say I say the word pimp to you. I know, but go ahead and pop in the chat and tell me kind of what is that mindset that you're thinking of? What do they look like? What just popped into your mind when I say that word? And what does that person look like? Because I've got a very clear thought of who that person is, what they might look like. Anybody want to pop in the chat what you think? Because I'm thinking certain materials that they're wearing, maybe some velvet, maybe silk, but I'm going with velvet. Any color sleazy man in a tracksuit. I love that. The tracksuit. And I'm going to go with a purple tracksuit. Little purple outfit, cheesy 70s movie, guy with flash hat and Cadillac. Yeah, flash hat and a Cadillac. Yes, exactly. For some reason, I always think of Flava Flav. I don't know if any of you even know who Flava Flav is, but that's who I think about. Okay, now I'm going to say another word. I'm going to say the word pedophile. Now, what is popping through your head now? Because we all have this mindset of what a pedophile looks like. I hear a lot of different things. Yes. Sometimes I think of somebody, well, kind of the Chris Hansen pedophile, right? Have you ever seen the Dateline Take a Seat, Chris Hansen? You never want to hear Chris Hansen say that. Old bald white guy I see in the chat absolutely has a mustache, which now has been referred to as a pedostache. We have these stereotypes, and that's what it is. Somebody living where? Can anyone tell me? Where does this person, this old bald white guy that's a dirty old man, live? Mom's basement. Yes. Sitting right in front of a computer. Mom's basement. That is what we think about. So these are, yes, Brandy got it. Thank you. Absolutely. These are absolutely the mindsets that we think about when we think about human trafficking. And when we think about these people that are our stereotypes and our mindsets. But here is the reality: a trafficker can look like me, a trafficker can look like you, and a trafficker can look like anybody. And that's what's really important to understand. And not only is that important for us to understand, but our youth to understand as well. That 52% of trafficking recruiters approximately are male, 42% are female. Now that's a really high number that when we think about when I was a mom, when I was a mom. I'm still a mom. I'm still a mom. My kids are older. My baby's a senior. I know I go through it. Um, 2 adult daughters. But when my kids were little, when I was a mom of littles, I used to tell them things like, whatever you do, if you're ever in trouble, go to the mom with kids, go to the woman with kids. But if 42% of trafficking recruiters are female, can't really say that, can we? Now, I know some of you are mathematicians right now, and you're saying 42 and 52 do not equal 100. It's true. I'm not great at math at all, but I do know that. That is true. So What is the other 6%? Well, often the other 6% works as couples. And that is much less intimidating than maybe what we consider like a burly man walking up to somebody. So if you're working in a couple as a couple, it kind of changes some things, how you perceive that, just like females. Now, of those genders, those are all different ages. And so traffickers can be adults, traffickers can be youth. We know that traffickers can be any age. And so those are extremely important to recognize. Now, I do want to just talk about this before we move on here, with a little bit about what we teach and what we can do for you and your community, and then answer any questions as we close. But when we talk about human trafficking, we're talking about more than just sex trafficking. We're talking about sex trafficking and labor trafficking, primarily what we see in the United States. And what I will tell you is labor trafficking can include a lot of different things. But we're talking about things like sex trafficking in your community, labor trafficking in your community, understanding the process, grooming, and what it is beyond kidnapping, risk factors and protective factors, and then exercising the consent muscles. And I'll talk about that in a second. But when we're talking about sex and labor trafficking, a lot of times we think about those very separately. So, with sex trafficking, commercial sex, with labor trafficking, the use of force, fraud, or coercion to compel somebody to provide services or labor. And what we know is that that can look like a number of different things as well. That can look like forced begging. So you've seen people on the street corner will work for food, and we see a lot of that. Those could be tied to labor trafficking rings. You see youth for sales. You see youth dropped off in your neighborhood. Maybe they are selling tubs of crap, or I have a dream, so here's magazines that I'm going to sell you. Those are often tied to human trafficking, labor trafficking rings. So it can look very different than what we think it might look like. But it's important that we talk about the term forced criminalization, because a lot of times I might be trafficking you for sex, for example. And then I say, now I want you to go sell these drugs. Now I want you to go shoplift our food. Now I want you to rob the buyer. Those are all forced criminalization situations, all labor trafficking. And so those are very highly linked together. But those are some of the things we talk about. Exercising the consent muscle. One of the things I do want to say about that, it is so important. One of the things we teach is, how do you be a safe adult in a youth's life? And we all, whether you're a parent or a caregiver, guardian of a child, or you just are existing and you have youth in your life, we all have those youth available to us. So, how can we be a safe adult for them? How can we be the one on the other end of a disclosure, and how can we respond to that? And so, exercising your consent muscle is a great way to do that. Now, with consent, we often think of sexual consent, and although that is important, we really want to start the consent conversation at an extremely young age, where we are teaching our littles that you get to say no if somebody wants to hug you and you don't want to say hug them. I'm a hugger. I will admit it. But there are absolutely times when I need to ask, and that's every time that I'm about to go in for a hug, are you a hugger? Not even, do you want to hug? Because somebody who has been in an abusive situation, the response to that will always be, yes, I want a hug. I'll take a hug. Can I hug you? Yes, because they're conditioned to do that. But if I were to ask you, are you a hugger? it changes the dynamic of the question. And now I'm not asking, I want to do something. Are you okay with that? Now it's asking, hey, are you this? Tell me about you. So, are you a hugger? And we need to teach our youth at a very young age that they get to say no. They get to say no to hugs. They get to say no to grandma kisses. I'm sorry, grandmas. I know it's horrible, but that they get to say that. When my son was 13, he's always been a huge hugger. Still is. He's amazing. And my baby. So if I start to cry, that's what's happening. But my son, when he was 13, I went in for a hug because that's what I did. He hugged all the time, and he did kind of an about face and turned the other way, and my mommy heart was crushed. But I knew in that instant that if I were to force him to hug me, I would be telling him, doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter what you want when someone touches your body. I'm going to control that. And so that is what we talk about with consent. Now, we also talk about bystander intervention in school climate and culture. Those are really important things. And we talk about how to be an upstander, how to intervene when there's a situation, and how can we safely intervene? What does that look like? How can we change our school culture? What does that look like? What are some of those things? And we love having these conversations with youth or teaching adults how to have these conversations with youth because this is critical. Social media and online gaming. I think this is such a key conversation, not even just with youth, but with adults. Let's think about our own experience on social media and how we are handling social media, how we are navigating it safely or not, or how we're just responding to people. Um, I think that's a real important conversation, but also gaming. Gaming and social media are huge ways that traffickers or people who want to do harm will find and lure, engage in people to take advantage of them. And so we talk about social media and online gaming, youth and adults, very important. But healthy relationships. We also have a curriculum for people with lived experiences. So we train facilitators of restoration homes or things like people who work with survivors or people with lived experiences. And a lot of that conversation is social media and healthy relationships. By the way, I do want to add this is all critical thinking stuff. We are never going to say to anybody, social media is bad, you better stay off of it. Because frankly, we're on it right now, right? So let's not go there. But I think that it's important that we all recognize how to safely navigate it. So with our um, people with lived experience curriculum, healthy relationships, and having that critical thinking conversation about what is a healthy relationship? What are the deal breakers? What do they look like? Again, these are all conversations, and we never want to identify somebody as, for example, a victim or a perpetrator, because we might have both of those people in the room. But also, if we're really honest, we might be both of those people at any given time in a relationship. And so we really talk about that with a conversational but critical thinking style. And elementary. Cannot forget elementary. Love those littles. Now, I want to clarify we are not talking about human trafficking with elementary kiddos. We are talking about practicing consent at home. So, are you asking your friends if you can hold their hand or whatever that may be? At school, everywhere, we're talking about bullying and cyberbullying and how we treat each other with value and being an upstander. So those are some of the things that we have in our curriculum from K on through 12. And also, here we go. What is value and that it's unique to every individual, but also social media safety. We know that kindergarteners, that was not a word. We know that kindergartners are on social media. We know that. And I have sat in a room with a group of kindergartners where they're telling me about Snapchat. So we need to get to those youth before, so they understand how to safely navigate it. And of course, have the conversations also with parents on how to help your youth safely navigate it. All right. We talked about adult presentations. I kind of talked about that at the beginning, but there's no adult we won't talk to, no youth we won't have curriculum for. And truly, we do want our audiences, youth especially, to see themselves in our curriculum. We want to have curriculum that is diverse, that speaks to all youth, and really that we can meet them where they're at so they can hear the message and feel safe to disclose. With our adults, these are some of the things that we talk about: sex and labor, trafficking, healthy relationships, social media, but trauma and cultural humility. Yes. Okay, Steve, one of our partners said elementary presentations have become one of my favorites. And I could not agree with you more, Steve. I love the littles. First of all, they really, they're so they don't, you can mess up and they still want to hug you. So littles are great. And it's a fun presentation. I will tell you, they are smart. They know more about social media than most of us, and so they are great. They are great. I love that audience. So, culture of silence. I just want to mention we do have a culture of silence, I think, when it comes to a lot of these topics, when it comes to human trafficking, when it comes to sexual violence, a lot of times domestic violence. Sometimes we just like to pretend it doesn't happen. I've talked to some adults and saying, let's have this conversation. And they have said, I don't want to because I don't want to hear it. I always say, when we put our head in the sand, it's warm in there. I get it. It feels good. It's cold. You can take a nap. It's not cold. It's warm, but it's dark. It's dark. You can take a nap. It's hard to hear this stuff. But that's why we do it in a way that is palatable, in palatable chunks, so that it's not overwhelming. We do it in a way that there's no fear tactics. I always, this is scary enough as it is. Nobody training on this needs to make it any scarier. We're honest. We talk about the real things, but when we talk about it in a way that you can take it and go back and use that information in your real life. We give you true tools to handle those situations. But again, we bring a lot of humor. We say we take our topic very seriously. We don't take ourselves very seriously, because it is important that we are able to provide this information in a way that you can use. So, we talk about responding, how to respond to a disclosure. Um, Not something I can do in a few minutes, but these are things that we definitely, and maybe we'll have a lunch and learn just on disclosures. I would love to have some of your thoughts about what you would like to learn. But I want to share a couple of upcoming things with you that we are doing that are going to be pretty exciting opportunities. Again, we talked about this: only 1 to 2% of trafficked individuals are recovered. So let's stop it before it starts. Um, So I'm going to come back to the donation and sponsor levels because I'm going to pop here really quick. Couple of things that I want you to know. Number one, we are coming out with an online class. We cannot wait for this. Bear with us. It's going to be here soon, but we're coming out with an online class that you can use with your specific industries and something you can do at home that you can learn about trafficking and then be certified that way. We're also going to be coming out with some things specifically for parents and caregivers. We're going to be coming out with a book, hopefully this summer, um, on how to talk to your youth about human trafficking, how to talk to your youth about social media safety, but then also having a class type thing that we can have that conversation with you so you can have that at your fingertips at all times. We are also, as you can see, we are having our annual fundraiser, Comedy for Change, Laugh Your Cash Off. This is our fifth or sixth, I think, year of doing this fundraiser, and it is a blast. We are having an improv team come in and just doing some fun stuff. Not that you have to participate in, you just get to watch it. Like, whose line is it anyway? But we'll have food, we'll have drinks and silent and live auction. But we would love for you to be there. If you can't be there, we would love for you to participate by donating or sponsoring. That would be awesome. But this is going to be a great night. Check it out on our website. You can scan all that stuff and get that for you. Um, but are you ready? We have a lot to offer and we want to offer that for you. We'd also love to hear about what you need, what you want to see, what you want to hear, because we are ever expanding our curriculum and the things that we're doing within the context that we do it. So our curriculum is begins in kindergarten. It goes all the way through adulthood. It is age appropriate, and I think that's a really important thing to say. We are one of the only, not the only, but one of the only curriculum that is this extensive, that is age appropriate and really adjusts for the different age groups from kindergarten through adulthood. We are also in partnership with um, University of Nebraska Lincoln right now and the CDC, and we are having our curriculum reviewed by a third party. So we will be one of the first human trafficking prevention curriculum to be reviewed by a third party. So we are so excited about that as well. But these are what we have available for you. Um, and I want to provide these hotlines for you and you can take a look at these. But follow us on social media. That will keep you engaged in what we're doing, what's going on in our world, and we would love to have you be a part of everything we're doing. We'd love to have you be a part of it. So, with that, what questions do you have? I would love to hear your questions. I also let me just go back because I would be remiss if I didn't go back. These are ways you can donate. Hey, we do everything we do is has a very cost, and so we would love to have you help us with that. Your donation can help, and I'm going to go backwards here, but your donation can actually help schools and youth hear this curriculum. Just 19.99 a month can fund an entire classroom for a year. Huge. 39.99 funds 2 classrooms, and you can be a hero at 99.99 and fund 3 classrooms for a full school year. So that is massive. And opportunities for sponsorship levels, but your gift makes a huge, huge difference. All right. Questions for me. I will be on the lookout as I sit here and dance. So, I'm not frozen. No, I'm not going to do that. That would be remarkably distracting. Any questions? You've been a good group. I appreciate your comments and your participation. Keep in mind, we would love to know what you would like to hear, what you would like to talk about. Be on the watch for the online classes. And when can you find out about trainings? That's a great, great question. So awesome, Brian. Thank you. So glad that you are here. Um, Brian is one of our collaborative partners out of New Jersey and happy to be an RTS trainer because you're awesome, Brian. So, when can we find out about trainings? If our trainings are public, we have those available on our website. The majority of our trainings tend to be private, and so we don't publicize them. So, for example, this Friday, I'm training an entire school district. So, a lot of those trainings are more private. If you would like to host a training for your school or for your community, even if it's a group of people in your neighborhood, reach out to info@setmefreeproject.net. We would absolutely love to connect with you, and you can absolutely reach out, and I would really love to have you connect with us at setmefreeproject.net. But you can also reach out to us at info@setmefreeproject.net and get some information. Great question. You can also reach directly Rebecca, who is our director of programming, and she is fantastic. And she can talk to you and answer any questions that you might need at all. All right, let's go back to those comments. Wonderful. Yes, please, please reach out, send an email. I would love that. If you have any questions at all that we didn't answer, that maybe you just don't want to ask on a chat, I totally get it. Please reach out and ask any questions. Again, we go national. So Brian is from New Jersey. We were just in New Jersey not that long ago. So we would absolutely love to be a part of your community and train your team. And we would love to be available for you. So, any other questions? I see the chats blowing up. I appreciate your patience with my disappearing act. Thank you very much. I will try not to do that next time. Don't know what happened, but it just makes it more exciting, doesn't it? I mean, if I disappear and come back, it's like a magic trick. I think it's cool. So, all right. Well, I am going to be here kind of hanging out if you do have some more questions. And Kelly is our chief operating officer, and Rebecca is our director of programming, and they are on the call. Please do not hesitate to reach out. We can't wait to talk to you. We want to partner with you in whatever way that looks like so that you can really make a difference in your community. You can make a difference in your schools with your youth, but with your adults too. It's not just youth that are at risk, although they are. Absolutely. It is all of us that can be at risk. So awesome. Kelly, Rebecca, anything that you would like me to add that I haven't? All right. Well, I'm going to throw up I shouldn't say throw up. I'm not going to throw up. I'm going to throw up this one more time. Again, we would love to have you at Comedy for Change. It is a blast, lots of fun. And if you can't be there, please let us know. We also want you to have access to any of these. Follow us on all of these platforms, but these are, what are they? Phone numbers. Phone numbers, boy, words, they are hard. These are phone numbers and information for you to be able to access that directly. All right. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you so much. Please reach out. Let us know if you have any questions whatsoever. And as we saw, I'm just going to throw up our information here one more time. By the way, this is where you can access Set Me Free Projects slash comedy. And you can go straight to our website to see how you can participate, maybe even volunteer if you wanted to, but also join us and have a great night. It's great. It's family friendly, but it's also a great night to have a date night and lots of fun. We'd love to have you. If you want to reach out to info@setmefreeproject.net, there it is right there um, for you. So great group. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me for lunch. I hope you had something yummy. And yeah, it was great connecting with all of you. We want to be a consistent resource for you. We want to be here for you. So please do not hesitate to reach out. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will do this again soon. Have a good one.